All right, everybody, I would ask if you'd please rise. All right, welcome to this is the first time we've ever held anything like this. Welcome to Chief Engineer Ed Wilmarth Jr.'s 50 consecutive years of active service dinner. And thank you all for coming out. And mind you, this not only his 50th year of service, it's also his 70th birthday. All right, I would ask that the members of service please put your covers on as the Broad Channel Fire Department Color Guard presents its colors.
Color guard. Out. Left. Face. Forward. March. Left. Wheel. March. Color guard. Halt. Freeze and colors. And salute. 1.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. Post. Color guard. Dismissed.
And just ask that I remain standing as we take a moment of silence for all the departed members of our department who have answered their last alarm and for our troops overseas. Thank you very much. You may take your seats. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure, pal. Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. I am speaking out of turn because your wonderful Assemblywoman Stacy Fermato actually got here before I did, and but she was kind enough to let me go first because I brought my chief with me, and this is my date tonight. We're having dinner, and this is Lily. Now, very funny story about Lily. Many of you remember when Lily was born. A day and a half after Hurricane Sandy. She was born on Halloween, October 31st, 2012. And many of us, many of the people in this room, were absolutely devastated by the storm. But we were gathering on a daily basis in the American Legion, not far from here, to try to put everything back together and assess what we needed to do moving forward. One of the people that I distinctly remember coming up to me a couple of days after that was Ed Wilmarth. And Ed said to me, "Didn't your wife have a baby?" And I said, "Yes, she did." He says, "Well, what the hell are you doing here?" And I said, "No, they're doing fine. They're in the hospital, and thank God she's healthy, and her name is Lily, but this is where I need to be right now. This is where I'm needed." And I never forgot that. And I never forgot that Ed was always there, not only after Hurricane Sandy, but many times before Hurricane Sandy, how respected he is in the community. He really is a pillar of the community, one of the most respected people, not only with his involvement with the Volleys.
Eric, don't put it on too thick.
I always see him at the veterans parades when we have Memorial Day and Labor Day. He's somebody that just always gives of himself. I had no idea he was 70 years old. You don't look a day over 69. But he's just a really great guy, but he's also a very good friend. And so I stopped by tonight with my chief, my boss, to present to your chief and our friend Ed Wilmarth a proclamation on behalf of the city of New York. Ed, would you come up? Hey, Eddie. Hi. Great job, Lily.
Thanks, Lily.
Thank you.
I remember the day you were born.
Yes, he does. Thank you. It's a wonderful department, it's a wonderful community, and it is my privilege and honor to represent you at City Hall. Ed, thank you for everything you do, for Broad Channel, for the Volleys, for the community. We love you. Happy birthday.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's take a picture with Stacy. Yeah, we'll wait. Okay.
All right, who's got the camera? Get in here. Let's go.
Well, we'll wait for Stacy and then we'll.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's call Stacy.
Come on, Stace.
You're gonna get a lot of traction back and forth. So.
Me?
Yeah.
You want me to stay or?
Yes.
That's up to you.
I'll stay. It sounds better over there.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine. Do what you want. It's your night. And now I please ask Assemblywoman Stacey Pfeffer Amato to join us.
Good evening. I think everyone brought their own chiefs tonight because my chief is over here too, my mother Audrey. So this is a tough evening for everybody. And like you, I understand what it's like being in the family business. So a little pressure here, no problem. Ed, what can I say? When I was running for election last year, and I was coming around the community, and some people knew me, and not everyone met me for the first time. But Ed came up with this big hug. I love your mother, and then I knew it was okay. Because if you're good with Audrey and she's good with you, then we're already family. So I don't have to be around for the whole 50 years that you volunteered. But what I do know is that tonight, and Eric, when you were talking about your daughter being here with you, it's about family, right? So volunteering for all those years, consecutive years, is about your family, which is your community, and all your loved ones. And when I stand up here with your son, which is funny because we're the kids of this group, it is about our family, continuing on those promises and legacy and work that we learned from our parents on behalf of the community. And standing here with him is Ed, the third or the fourth or the fifth, I'm getting confused.
I'm three.
Three. Number 4 is over there, little Eddie. Is really what the tradition is about volunteer firefighting to me, about continuing on the tradition, passing on to the next generation, teaching what's important, which is our community. So I'm honored to be here to present you something that I thought was really special, to be a little different, though Eric's is really nice and framed and pretty. I went a little further because it was my first time, I'm excited, I'm in Albany. I said, what can we do? So I'm actually presenting you with a legislative resolution, meaning that it was voted on in the Assembly, you're part of New York State history. So it's, as you should be. So when little Eddie comes up to Albany to visit me well, I should still be in Albany, and he comes to visit me in Albany, we could look in the history books, and you're in it. And I'm honored to be the person that did that for you. Come on up, you legend. Come on up.
Does that mean I'm a dinosaur or
I'm not even gonna go there. My mother told me that. So, but to sit here, 70 years old, you're right. I mean, you guys are like, I don't think you're like dinosaurs. But I'm not gonna call my mother a dinosaur. But there is something about that type of character, and that you continue on, and years of service, and you don't say it like so many years, it's just that dedication and love for what you do. And we hope that we have that in us, because we love what we do, and we're gonna continue it. So come on up, I'd like to present you with a legislative resolution. You are in history, my friend. For 50 years of continuous service, which I will tell you, every person stood up and was honored to vote on that. So on behalf of me and New York State, I present you with this beautiful resolution, which I'm taking back from you tonight, because I'm going to frame it. Because it's not a normal size, because we're not normal here. So I have to get it framed. So congratulations.
You said it. You said everybody voted on it?
In Albany,
They worked that week?
we did.
I didn't mean you.
I always work. No, of course. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
And I would also like to call up Mom,
Yeah.
County Clerk Audrey Pfeffer. Our longtime friend.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here officially representing Congressman Gregory Meeks, who I'm so glad couldn't make it, so I have the opportunity to say congratulations. We were just laughing because we both started as teenagers, really. Right.
Yep.
But no, I worked with Ed for the 24 years that I was in the Assembly. We worked together on many issues, and I just have to say it was always fun. You're a great friend, but also, as my daughter said, you are a wonderful community representative. Wherever you go, and you say to people, I'm from your channel, they look at you and say, wow, because you really give yourself, give your time, and give your heart. So, on behalf of the Congressman, he and I both say thank you for all your years and keep up the good work. Thank you.
We love you too. Yeah, we can take a quick picture with all our
Absolutely.
dignitaries.
These guys are not only politicians, they're our friends. They're friends to the firehouse and they're friends to Broad Channel. You can't have better people than this.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to call up the Chief of the Garrison Beach Fire Department and the President of the Volunteer Firemen's Association of the City of New York, President Dan Cavanaugh. Dan represents the volunteer fire companies in the city.
Yes, it's a tough act to follow. But hello everyone. I am the Chief of Garrison Beach and the President of the Volunteer Firemen's Association, City of New York. Thank you.
Push it past your hand. A lot clearer.
So I wrote something up for you. So we are here tonight to celebrate 50 years of active service to Big Ed Wilmarth, which is an amazing accomplishment. Knowing everyone in this room, I hope to last 50 years. Knowing some of you, I won't make it through the night. But more seriously, this accomplishment says a great deal about Broad Channel itself as a community and 50 years of membership going in and out of Broad Channel. It says a lot. Ed was also the association president for many years and played an important role behind the scenes for all 10 departments at the time. Not only did he have to deal with his own department, he had to deal with 9 other crazy people. I just remember past President Fred Gray from West Hamilton Beach, and how Fred had to step down, but Big Ed was always there to pick up the slack for us. He was always in the room as a voice of reason, and just was able to kind of step in for us and say, this is what we got to do to get back on track. The day I met him, I didn't know it yet, but he was recruiting me.
It's not gonna be a roast, is it?
It should be. It should be a roast. But he was recruiting me the day I met him. And he said, when are you going to be chief? And I was new. I was like, never, right? And then he, matter-of-factly, just said, what good are you to me then? What good are you? What is this? But it's like it was a very big picture thing to say to somebody new in the fire service. Like, when are you going to be chief? Right, so it makes you think, none of this stuff happens by magic. It takes people like Ed, 50 years, or the association to make things happen. It doesn't happen just by magic, it just happens by hard work. I may not know Ed as long as everyone else in this room, but I have learned a lot from him. For God's sake, I've only been president of the association, 2-3 years, chief a year, and I've only given 3 or 4 speeches, but I've mentioned him in my speech 3 or 4 times. So that says a lot. It does really say a lot. Thank you for stepping up and helping the association when we need it. Thank you for stepping up and helping me. Thank you for cursing us out when we need it.
And when we don't.
And also when we don't. And on behalf of the Volunteer Firemen's Association of the City of New York and the officers and members of the Garrison Beach Fire Department, we congratulate you on 50 years of active service.
All right, and likely for the first time, I would say, Road Channel Fire Department dance. Please welcome the first Vice President of the Firemen's Association of the State of New York, Steve Klein.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is actually the second time I've done anything firematic down in the Rockaways. The first thing I did was when I first got in the fire department a few years ago, I came to a parade down here. There used to be a fireman's parade here in the Rockaways. And this is the second time I've come back. When Chief Rick asked us to come to make this presentation, we were actually, all three of us, very busy. But then in retrospect, I said, this is quite an occasion. So I asked Jose DeRocha, who's the latest director of FASD, and Bob Ottaviano is the other director from Nassau County, to come with me so you could see the face of FASD that represents you folks up in the Firemen's Association up in Albany. In speaking with Ed before, he told me that his family ties, first of all, he started to tell me the family members in the fire department that are in the room and celebrating with him. And he told me that his family ties date back to, was it 1799? Yeah, 1799. That's about 80 years before the Firemen's Association of the State of New York was even dreamed of. The Firemen's Association of the State of New York would not be what it is if it wasn't for, believe it or not, the volunteer firemen of the City of New York, who were big supporters back in the day and made our association what it is. So the three of us came here tonight to let you folks know that we appreciate the tradition that you carry on, and Ed, you particularly, for 50 years now. We realize the importance that you folks mean to us more so than we mean to you. I have a proclamation. I'm going to follow Chief Lilly, and I'm going to walk to Ed with the proclamation because everybody clapped when she did it, and maybe they'll clap when you do. Other than that, I just want you folks to know that FASD is here for you, all of you, the Volunteer Firemen's Association of the City of New York. Anything we can do to help you folks, we'd be more than happy to work with you, and wish you the best tonight and have a great time. Thank you very much for inviting us. And I'm all happy.
Thank you, folks. All right, thank you, gentlemen, for making the trip. Also scheduled to be here was, anyone who has Time Warner cable would know the name Rocco Vertuccio from New York One. He was to be in attendance tonight, but got called off on a special assignment. But he told me to announce to everybody here that in the weeks to follow, the New York One New Yorker of the Week segment will be about Chief Engineer at Wilmarth. So they'll be in touch.
What do you say, Vertuccio?
Vertuccio.
It must be a sale on calzones, that's why.
He's he was okay. He was a good guy. All right, so a couple of folks that voluntarily said they'd like to say a few things tonight, and we'll move along to the end of the night. Mike Ryan? So essentially, everybody, all the residents, we didn't call all the residents, everyone of them.
I'm gonna keep this short, unlike the guy over there that was really long. Big Ed, congrats. 50 years of the volunteer organization in Broad Channel. You've done a great job. The chief engineer, for some of you don't know, he's fixed the fire truck since, they had horses drawn, right? You fed the horses? So he's been around for a really, really long time.
It was originally called stable maintained.
Yeah. But, and congrats on your birthday, 70 years. Very big accomplishment, okay? He's done a tremendous amount for this community. For those of you who don't know him, who are here for the first night, he's the epitome of the Broad Channel Fire Department. He's a man that people look up to. As Gene McDaniel would say, tower of strength, okay? So, Big Ed, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. Congrats on 50 years of being the chief engineer. Happy birthday, keep up the good work. Okay, these trucks can't go out without you, and everyone else knows that too. All right? Cheers.
Ex-Captain Brian Williams. Nah, nobody knows him.
Thanks for the claps.
This isn't McDonald's.
All right, sit down. Chief Keenan is supposed to have something to say, but he couldn't make it due to work, so I have his speech, and then I'll go into mine. So, Big Ed, this is from Timmy. Any fire emergency, no matter what the magnitude, Mike's calling me. A little payback, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Be that guy, be that guy.
No matter what the magnitude is, it becomes easier to handle when you have the right people working with you. I can remember when I had the honor to serve as chief of department, many times while responding to a fire or an emergency, the sense of calmness that would come over me as I heard Chief Engineer Ed Wilmarth on the radio, responding with one of our rigs, or seeing him operate an incident when I was arrived. Either one brought great confidence and calmness to me, as I'm sure the same is true with many other chief officers who have served since I have. Congratulations to Big Ed, and thank you for your distinguished service to the department. That's from Chief Keenan. Here's mine. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for attending tonight's party to congratulate a milestone accomplishment.
Today.
My name is Brian Williams, a past member of the Broad Channel Fire Department and a lifelong friend or a pain in the ass to Ed Wilmarth. I have known Ed, aka Big Ed, aka Chappie, aka Old Man, aka the Old Man, and the family for over 30 years. His son Eddie and I have been good friends for that 30-year time. Little Ed and I have joined the junior department around 1991. As 11-year-old kids hanging around the firehouse, I would always see Damien Getzone trying to fix something on the fire engines, only to find out that he made them worse, and Big Ed had to come up the block and undo everything Damien did. I knew Big Ed could fix any apparatus, any car, any generator, basically anything with a motor, but it wasn't until I joined the senior department to find out that Big Ed did a lot more for the Broad Channel Fire Department than just fix the rigs. Big Ed joined the department as a firefighter/horse mechanic in June of 1967 and rode through the ranks to serve as the deputy chief. By the time I joined, Big Ed allowed the younger bucks of the department to ride the back step, and it became a chauffeur for all of us. At this time, Ed has already put in 30 years of service. A run would come in, we would all get dressed, we would start the rig, we would pull out, hoping that Big Ed was on his way, and sure enough, we would see the Warlock coming up the block with Big Ed's first ever issue teardrop blue light, and he would jump into the chauffeur seat. Still has it to this day. As a company officer there, wasn't a better thing a sight to see than that Warlock coming up the block. I would know that if something had water in it, that Big Ed would be able to get that into the hose line so we get our jobs done.
He knew every hydrant location in the Island of Broad Channel. I wouldn't dare suggest a different hydrant or a different position with the fear of the old man's stare. His knowledge just didn't stop there. If I had any fire matter questions, he knew the answer. He would respond to, if we would respond to Jamaica Bay, he knew the hidden sites to launch the boat to get into the water as quick as possible. And if we had a trauma patient having to go to Jamaica, and if there was traffic on the Van Wyck, well, Big Ed knew a different route to go to get the patient there faster. At some point, it was my turn to be qualified to drive the fire apparatus. Now, there's a lot more than just driving the apparatus. I figured if Big Ed could teach Pumper, John Bradford, the ropes of the fire engine, that he would definitely have the patience for me. I've never drove anything bigger than a two-door car, barely. With Big Ed's experience, he went over every angle, every trick of the trade to make me comfortable maneuvering the apparatus in an emergency situation. Getting down tight blocks of Broad Channel, and backing into the tight corners of the firehouse without taking out the wall or scratching the rims to the tires. We all know Big Ed loves the rims and never to scratch them. Learning to drive by Big Ed has made me become better at the profession that I hold today. Driving is the easy part. Now we had to learn about the pumps. He would teach us everything about the pumps, the reason behind the mechanics of the pumps. You weren't officially qualified until we had to go under the rig, pack the pumps, in Big Ed's eyes. Today, at the ripe old age, 80, 70, by the way, he still looks the same as when I joined in 91. He still continues to maintain the apparatus, train the new chauffeurs, attend parades, assist with Mardi Gras, attend department operations. The list goes on and on of everything that Big Ed does. Big Ed, old man, congrats to you for this astonishing achievement to the residents of Broad Channel, the Broad Channel Fire Department, and I am honored to say thank you for your 50 years of service.
He signed it, he said.
It's official.
All right, give me 1 sec. I have a special phone call to make.
Janine's here.
I know. Hey, brother, you there?
It's Trump, tell him I'm busy.
All right, I'm gonna put you live, okay? Give me 1 sec. All right, pal. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, everyone, ex-chief of department, Bobby Russell.
Thank you very much. I just want to say a few words. Eddie Wilmarth claims to be one of my dearest and closest friends. I have never met Eddie Wilmarth. Seriously, I could be here and I could tell you hours of Chappie stories. Like after being out till 6 in the morning, and we have a department drill the next day at 7 o'clock. So I'm exhausted, Eddie's exhausted. So he asked me, you want to go for a sandwich and a beer after the drill? I said, sure. And he took me to Philadelphia. And then the next week he had to go see his cousin, and he asked me, would you go for a ride? I just got to go up the road and see my cousin. We wound up in Vermont. And then, of course, there was the ride to go. He wanted to go see something, and next thing you know, I'm on the top of the Empire State Building. And then also, he wanted to go for a beer. We wind up in Hunter Mountain. Eddie, you've been like a brother, big brother to me, brother. And our family considers you family. My dad loved you, and you loved him. And you could do absolutely no wrong, and my mother died. After my dad passed, the family will never forget the letter you wrote to my mother. Telling her how much you love my father. And as my father's deputy chief, you are his most loyal. It's something to have a great friend as your deputy chief. And as our deputy chief, we all looked up to you. Everybody learned a lot. Everybody learned how to drive standard shift if they knew it was good for them. And when we all saw your bus outside all the bars, I don't know what was in that bus. I don't know if it was a magnet But everybody said Wilmarth up the office in, or Wilmarth at Grassy's, or Wilmarth at O'Sullivan's, and that's where we all went because Wilmarth was there. It's some really good memories. Eddie, we're old school, and our love for the fire department will never change. It's for a lifetime. It kills me I can't be with you tonight, brother. Doctor's orders. I raise my glass, Eddie, filled with Harvey's Crystal Cream. It's one keep to another. But most of all, as brothers always, I speak for all the Russells. We love you. Congratulations, and enjoy your night.
Thanks, Bob. Bobby? Bob? Yeah. Only thing I got to say to you is remember these words. What do I do with this?
I got you, brother. I got you.
All right, Chief, we'll give you a ring back in a little bit. We're just going to continue on, all right?
Sounds good. Have a good time, everybody.
Thank you, brother. Rose, it actually worked. It was just a theory in my head, that's all. All right, please welcome one of our very close family confidants, the former multi-time Chief of Department, Dan McIntyre. I got him, kid.
Oh, man. I didn't think Russell would ever shut up. Well, what can I say? Everyone here, everyone from Broad Channel that grew up in the 60s and the 70s, they all know about Eddie Wilmarth. And some of us used to call him in the old days Chappie. There's always some exploits and some stories about, Chappie did this, Chappie did that. Usually end with somebody knocked out, or somebody's car crushed by the judge, or sometimes both. Now, when I was growing up, and Big Ed was always at the fire scene, there'd be a call, I'd be riding on the bike to go to check out the fire. And always be Big Ed, and coming on with that big, giant, loud Ford. Everyone was loud as hell. You always knew it when Broad Channel was pulling up. And he was always there with the chief, and I mean the chief, and everyone here knows who the chief was. So, it was something that we all grew up with in Broad Channel. I moved away, and I came back to Broad Channel probably in the early 80s, and my brother Bobby was lieutenant there, and he says, hey, he said, Dan, you think you could stop by the firehouse and, take a look at one of the engines? And I said, well, yeah, I don't know. He says, well, Big Ed is like really busy. He's got the bus business going. He's still working at Green Bus Lines. He don't got a lot of time. So he says, if you come down, afterwards, we'll come out and get a beer. I said, okay, that sounds good to me. So I come down, I climb under the truck. I'm saying, oh, what the hell is this thing I'm looking at? Hey, I had to go down by Ed's house and find out. Ed says, well, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I said, well, we got to talk about this some more. He said, okay, let's go down to C Club. So that's basically it. So every time you needed Ed, you knew where to find him. He was either at his house, and then he was at his house, then you had to go to the C Club, or you had to go to Grassy's, or the Office Inn, or Johnson's, or somewhere. But, basically, we all knew where Eddie was going to be. Now, later on in my career in the firehouse, Eddie was always there, and then, when I wasn't chief in the mid-90s, new chiefs came on. But the new chiefs always knew that Ed Wilmarth was always going to be there to take care of their equipment. It's something that as chief you never had to worry about. And as Brian said, you never had to worry about the position of the rig. If you were going to get water, it could be frozen. Every fire hydrant in Broad Channel would be frozen, and Wilmarth would show up with 500 gallons of water from somewhere. Who knows where he got it from, but it would always show up. It was a great comfort to me and to every other chief there. When I came back again in 2005, after a little bit of ring rust, and I haven't been there for a while, and the first big fire we had was down there behind the Kohlberg's Hardware, as everybody used to know, right? And we didn't know if the hardware store was on fire, and who knows what's going on. And I got there, and I said, well, I think it's a major fire. Let's pull the deuce and a half, and let's go. And Eddie already had that all done. I didn't do anything. I come up and I showed up. I stood there with my hat. It looked good. I didn't have to do anything. Eddie was there. And I'm sure that many officers in here and many chiefs in here had the same experience with Ed. When he was there, you didn't have to worry. Sometimes, people don't appreciate the work that goes on in the firehouse behind the scenes. And as we all know, in the firehouse, without Big Ed, there would be no firehouse. He's the guy that's there. Whenever there's hard work to be done, Eddie's there. Eddie is not afraid of hard work, and he'll always show up to help out. We worked many times on rigs, on ambulances, pieces of junk, and got them in running condition. In the old days, we didn't have good stuff like we have now. But we always got them going, always. So, you know, all I can say on my behalf, you know, Eddie was always there for me as a confidant in my terms as chief for 13 years plus. And I really appreciate him. He's a great friend. It's my privilege to be associated with you in the firehouse for these 33 years, Ed, and my 33 years. And I've known you for over 45, and it's my honor and privilege to know you. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. All right, the acting chief of department, Joseph Nocerino.
All right, well, I have this well-written speech that went to shit because all you guys spoke about it already, so we're going to go with it anyway. Let's see what happens. All right, so on June 6, 1967, at the age of 19, you joined this department. Over the years, you were appointed to the different ranks of the department, which continued to be lieutenant and captain, and then in 1975, you were elected by your peers to serve as deputy chief. For the next 3 years, you held that position. During those years, and for the next 30 years to follow, you were named a department mechanic. Probably not by choice, but you had none. Any issues in a vehicle was brought to your attention, it was either fixed by you or brought to someone you knew who could fix it. The only problem was you had to assist them because it wasn't fixed the right way unless you were involved. During your time here, you were part of a team that decided what pieces of equipment this department needed to purchase to run efficiently. Based on how long you've been doing this, let's see the progress. You all know how the firehouse story starts. You know, back in the day, the way it always goes. Back in the day, you started getting what? Barney and Fred Flintstone? You probably got in their first fire truck. Probably consisted of a stack made of stone. Probably the first Detroit diesel ever made. Just going on that one. All right, and jumping ahead a couple of years during your time here, we have plenty of rigs that you like to consider your own. Cadillac ambulances, Rescue 400, numerous 201s, a couple of 202s, one or two 203s, I think there were two 205s, a couple of 204s, a 207, a 208, a 209, a 210. I think we stopped there. All these would probably have a lot of blood, sweat, and tears of yours, and countless hours you spent making sure they're in good running order. See what I did there, right? I cracked myself up. I'm good at that. All right. With that, you earned the rank of chief engineer, which 30 plus years later, you still hold. And to my knowledge, I believe you're the only one that ever hold that rank in this department.
Well, it doesn't exist.
No shit. We just gave you that to shut you up. Anyway. Now for me, I became a senior member in this department in May 1995. During the next couple of years, I would go through some driver's training and be qualified as a driver on a department ambulance, which was good, in my eyes. Ed's not so much. After training and driving you, I would become an MPO. You know, Brian took half my speech, so blah, 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 pack the pumps, grease the pumps, learn everything. Yeah, I'm going. Shut up. All right? I remember the training to this day that you always told me. The biggest things were, always make sure you have a water source. Never block the front of the house. And the biggest thing I've ever learned from you, and I always continue to this day to treat with all the members here, current, past, and whoever I can teach in the future, was to always make sure your members on your scene were protected. And back in the day, we always used to use cones. Big Ed's advice was never use a cone. The rig positioning will always block your members. And that's one thing I'll always remember. And that's one thing to this day that I can always count on. That advice stuck with me. Me, I'm pretty sure I gave you some good advice too. I think we had some good advice going back in the early 90s and the late 90s and early 2000s. And I'm pretty sure that advice was, drive your old ass up here as fast as you can. The rig will be on the apron and I will be sitting in the office seat waiting for you to get here. And I think it worked for a long time, and until to this day, it still works. All right, now I lost my spot. All right? So the next 22 years of my department, blah, 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 going on and on. I really couldn't give you any more knowledge, but there's a lot of knowledge I gave you, and I know that's for a fact that you can remember. Number one, I have a list. It's pretty good. Always keep a master cylinder in stock, because for some reason you always put defective ones in, and they always had to be changed every other month. Just saying.
If you're driving the ambulance?
Anyway, shut up. I'm talking, not you. Brakes? Yeah, too. They were also defective. Always keep them. The biggest thing I learned was rakes were better when they were on the end of a handle and not in the rear tire of 201. And the best thing I think we'd accomplished together, what we accomplished a lot, was rides home from parades. Rides home from parades were a lot more fun when you terrorize the towns we go through. All right? That's the important knowledge I think I gave you, because those are the funds we had. Now I have a list of what knowledge I gained from you. A lot of people aren't going to understand this, but some will, and it's pretty funny. Every one of these members, past and present, can agree with me on one thing. The finger poke to the chest, yeah, that sucked. All right? So, and then one thing I learned on my own was when you go to musters upstate, when you take the bus, you don't piss off the old members that are upstate with you, because the one finger from the old man sucked, but then when you got 6 other people with the finger in the chest, that sucked even more. So we won't do that no more. Number 3 is when the phrase, "No, let me tell you something," comes out. Usually ended up bad for me. Usually ended up bad for a lot of people in this room. But most likely, I'm speaking to you now, and it ended up bad for me a lot. Number 4, pretty sure it's all about what? It's all about Detroit, the Detroit Diesels.
Yes.
It's always about Detroit Diesels. Number 5 is stacks, more stacks, need I say more? It's all about stacks. Best part of majority of my life hanging out with Big Ed and everyone else in this department on the back deck was, what did I learn about Harvey's Bristol Cream? Harvey's Bristol Cream is what? It's a sip and drink. All right, we got that down. Working in the bars, hanging out with Big Ed, I learned another thing in my life that was knowledgeable, was 14 straws is the max. Right? 14 straws, no matter how many times we were in Eddie B's stealing the straws from everybody, 14 straws was the max. And somehow, I don't know how you knew, you could have 10 up there, we take 3, and you still knew there was 10. I applaud you on that somehow. Another thing a lot of people in this fire department have learned over the last 50 years, I don't know about before I joined, but the other people that were here remembers, polish the brass, and the diamond plate on the rigs. That's Big Ed's pet peeve. Whenever you're there and there's something to be done, 203, the old American LaFrance, was his amazing rig. And it had a brass cap on the front intake, and that shit had to be polished every week. And if it wasn't polished every week, he'd let you know about it with a poke in the chest and a "let me tell you something." So, always make sure that's done. Number 9, this is a good one. Mack trucks. Yeah, you don't like fire trucks named Mack. That's out. So we got it done. Everyone else again can agree with me on this one. The oldies always sound better when you're in the backyard singing a Manitoun with Big Ed. It's always a good time. Number 11. Me, and like Brian and everyone else said, you can always count on that pickup truck coming up the block with blue lights, or sometimes an old bastard on a 20-inch bike to be responding up Knoll Road when I needed him to.
Do you remember that?
I remember that perfectly. That's why he took a speech. And the last thing I want to say, and this is the most important for me over the years, you became a mentor to me. You became a valuable tool to put in my mental toolbox during this department. As I rose through the ranks of the department, all the way up to where I am sitting right now in front of you, you were always there for me. Whenever I had a question, whenever I had a problem, or anything. Personal life, fire department issue, or we want to go out and drink some beers, I can always count on you to be there to do that with me. And I appreciate that a lot. But most importantly, you became a friend. And a good friend. And I thank you for that. And that's the best part of being a member of a volunteer fire department. For the members that are members of the fire department and anything, is the friends you keep. So, you've been doing this for 50 years. And the most important thing I've learned over these 22 years that I've been a member of this firehouse with you was 718 Lanark Road. It's always open. It'll always be open whenever you need something. And hopefully for the next 50 years, it'll be open the same way it was for this last 22. I applaud you, Chief Engineer Ed Wilmarth, and I thank you for your service. And now, if I don't want to do the honor with me, I forgot there's a page 3. So with all that being said, do me a favor, everyone raise a glass or whatever you have in front of you, and give me a hell yeah to the old man Wilmarth. Chappie, Chief Engineer, whatever the hell you want to be called this week, Mazel Tov. If Chief Engineer, if you can come up, please. I have, for the first time, like I said, because it's probably a made-up thing, but it's official in my eyes in our book. I'm going to present Past Deputy Chief Wilmarth for the last 37 years or whatever you've been with a Chief Engineer badge. I want you to wear that proud, and remember that whenever there's a problem, we can always count on you. Thank you.
All right, Honorary Deputy Chief Johnny Arroyo, just come on up and join me for 1 sec. Chief, remain up here.
That was a good speech.
Yeah, that was great. Listen, for all of you who don't know the bicycle story,
oh my God,
just wait. Ask us after this. All right, so everybody, you know the deal. Everybody usually gets a plaque for every 10th year of service, but we figured your wall is full of plaques. You have plenty of them. You don't need another one. All right, so we took it a step further. We did some research because, believe it or not, he's not. The old man's not exactly. He holds on to everything. You know that, right? The house is full of things from 100 years ago.
it's not a hoarder.
It was not a hoarder. No.
A hoarder, maybe, not a hoarder.
Not a hoarder. But one thing he never held on to, because back in the day, the firehouse was barely getting by. Okay, they're using hand-me-down fire gear from other fire departments, donations. So he never held on to any of his equipment. He passed it on to the next firefighter so that they could be protected, and he found his place in the chauffeur seat where he didn't need fire gear anymore. So we decided, with the help of my good friend Johnny Arroyo here, we recreated it's an exact replica of the helmet you wore in 1975 as Deputy Chief. And it has a specific front piece on it commemorating your 50 years of service. And Johnny made you something to go with it.
I thought his head was a lot smaller, so excuse me on that. I also made him a little mini one.
A miniature? Keep the box.
Pictures?
Yes, please. Let's do some pictures. So there you go. There's no, so that is your plaque. We figured, we'd like to give you something a little bit different than everybody else. You know what I mean?
Legit, I got it. You could have wore a uniform.
All right, and last but not least, you can stay up here if you like. I'll tell you a quick story, very quick. is that around, I don't know, around 1991, maybe something like that, believe it or not, at the time, there wasn't anything in our home that said firehouse. My whole time growing up, I actually had no idea that my dad was a member of the firehouse. I had no idea. Rosie didn't either. Maybe John did, I don't know, but I know I didn't. Because he didn't keep any memorabilia around the house, nothing like that. Everything was very low key. But even going to church every Sunday, we'd walk across the street to the firehouse. You know, I was like maybe 8, Rosie was probably like 4. And I just thought it was strange that he would just walk in and out of the firehouse like he owned it. And everyone was extremely respectful to him. You know, and I'm like, what the hell goes on? I don't get it. You know what I mean? So I went in and out of the firehouse freely, and I kind of had like a, you know, get out of jail free card there as a kid. I just walk in and out as I please, and everybody just, that's all right, that's Chappie's son. And one day we were coming home from somewhere, and on like a Sunday, there was a motorcycle accident on the strip. And we kind of pulled over at the scene for a minute, the volleys were there. He was talking with somebody, I don't remember who. And then we left the scene, went right to the firehouse, and pulled out the second new engine. And he goes, all right, hop in. And I'm like, holy shit, he just stole a fire truck. I'm like, we're fucked. You know what I mean? I was like, I know you're not. I'm not surprised. Well, now I'm not surprised. You know what I mean? But then I'm like, oh my God, we're breaking the law. Oh my God! I saw how this ends on TV. You can't steal fire engines. But anyway, so I jumped in the officer's seat. It was just us two on the fire truck. That's it. Not even another fireman. Nothing. There's just us. And he goes, walk over, goes, you ride on that side and stand on that pedal, which was the federal cue. The siren, that most of you may not, I just realized not everybody knows what the federal cue is. But that's the old school fire truck winding siren, okay? Yeah, were you making one for me? Milty was making the sound for us. And I'm standing on the pedal, making the siren go, and we go up there and we just do a wash down of the scene real quick. And we bring it back, and I was like, wow, that was nuts. I didn't know you could do that. You know, you could just take fire trucks. I didn't know. I'm like, I'm totally doing that when I get old enough. I am stealing the fire truck. So, and then around, I don't know, right around 91, I want to say, it was like January, very, very cold, brutal cold outside, frozen fire hydrants and all that worst case scenario stuff that always tends to happen in Broad Channel.
House?
The house across the street from us was on fire in the middle of the night. And I remember Mom coming upstairs, waking us kids up, and saying, all right, all you guys are going to go next door. All right, we're getting passed over the fence to Tommy Gallen, right, and Maura, and they're going to hide us next door. But what I didn't know was happening, not at first anyway, was there's no fire trucks on the scene yet or anything, but this fire is raging, and there was a whole group of children that were all trapped on the top floor of the house, up in the attic. They, for whatever reason, their means of escape was blocked on the first floor, and they chose to go up, which for all of you, that's a no-no. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. Try to go out a window somewhere. Don't put yourself in the attic. It's extremely difficult to get out of. Anyway, it's a very, very small window, as you can imagine. You're lucky it had a window up in the peak in the attic. And so this crazy son of a bitch just puts his old firehouse jacket on. I don't know if it was that. It might have been the windbreaker. You're going to get a lot of protection out of that thing, or the red ski coat. Yeah. But either way, I see it. From what I understand, he's trying to boot down the front door, and it would not give for whatever reason. I think come to find out, it was actually barricaded. The front, you would never get in that front door. So this crazy ass dove through the front picture window, put the jacket over his head, and just literally ran and dove through it. And come to find out, the whole interior staircase was compromised, meaning it was structurally unstable. It was burning through, and he fucking ran up it anyway. Ran up it anyway, and luckily a neighbor across the street had a ladder in the alleyway, threw the ladder up, an extension ladder up to the window, and he passed all the kids out the window, got everybody out of the house. So that was the first time that anybody ever officially told me afterwards that, oh yeah, by the way, your dad's a fireman. And has been for a long time. And I knew right then and there, that's what I want to do. And didn't necessarily mean as a profession. I just know I wanted to be like him. If that only meant locally here in town, then that's what I was going to do. And come to find out, you know what, your dad was a chief, and your dad was this, and your dad was that. I said, you know what, then that's what I'm going to be too. And here I am. So it's not only me, my brother John became a lieutenant as well for the same damn reason. Rosie's a lieutenant now for the same damn reason. And believe it or not, there's a lot of people in this room who are volleys now and chiefs now for the same damn reason. And they're not even related to him. So that's the level of respect that he commands on a daily basis. Everybody respects and honors this guy, and rightfully so. He's a living legend as far as I'm concerned, and there is no Hall of Fame in the fire department, but if there was one, he's going in tonight. So the man of the hour, ladies and gentlemen, you all rise. The man of the hour, 50 years of service, unparalleled, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, Chief Engineer Ed Wilmarth. The floor is yours.
Thanks. You need your props? It's all right.
Excuse me while I whip this out. I've written speeches for quite a few people before, and we'll get this age thing out of the way. Now, 40 and, no, that was for age. I have a dream. No, that was for modern. I have these 10 commandments. And what was the last one I wanted? That everybody on the boat and bring 2 with you. That was for no one. Okay, we got the old thing out of the way. Let's go. I would like to thank all the past members and past chiefs and everybody that showed up tonight and all that. I have, in our family, I know the chiefs from FASNY and all that had touched on it and all that. Everybody, every male member of our family since 1799 has been a volunteer fireman. It's 218 years. So we don't really have a choice about that. We just have to do it. He's gonna do it. Everybody has done it. That's just the way it is. As I look back and think back over the years, 17 chiefs. 17 chiefs. Some good ones, most good ones. Actually, all. All were good, because anybody that would give the time to be a chief and go through the time that it takes to be a chief in the town of Broad Channel is a good one. Personality-wise, we might not like each other, but if you serve this department and our town, I love you. I got a lot of notes here. Let's see, 17 chiefs. I couldn't tell you how many hundreds of members. Sometimes I remember all of them, sometimes I don't, but it's got to be 3, 4, 5, 7, 800 calls, thousands, 10,000 or better. Unfortunately, I only remember the bad ones, because that's what we do. What do we got here? I can't even read my own handwriting. To do what I've done, it's kind of a no-brainer for me and all, but it's somebody, if you live in Broad Channel, you have to do something for your town. That's the way I look at it. And it has been my honor, my privilege, and my duty to do what I have done. To have so many people follow in my footsteps, aside from my family, is my greatest accomplishment. That's how I feel. This honor tonight is, out of all the honors that I've gotten over the years, plaques, years of services and all, this is the highest, this is the best of all you people being here. I mean, when I look around and all, I think, well, I must owe you all money. That's the only reason you would come. Yeah. Well, it can't be more than $1. I hardly, because I'm a little overwhelmed. Let's get to this part here. I heard a lot of this stuff about getting cursed out and being belittled and being made fun of and this and that and everything else, and God forbid, I can't remember ever doing it, is poking somebody. But evidently it's true. So, I say this now. If at any time over the years that you think that I have belittled or poked you or made fun or cursed you out and everything else, I want to tell you sincerely now that I only do that to those that I care for, and I sincerely meant every fucking word of it. Let's see what else I got here. I got to thank my son, my daughter, Donna, for actually breaking their horns and really organizing this. It's and who? And Jill. Okay, I've got and don't. You know, it's supposed to be a secret, so I'm not supposed to know anything. But I thank you all. You know, but I know who worked very hard at it. Excuse me. Okay, whatever. Again, what I had said before, I just want to go over it again, that, you know, thanking all the politicians and all, and remembering they're not just politicians. If they're here, they're friends, they're family. That makes the difference. I want to thank all of my family. I've got family here from Las Vegas, from Texas, from Baltimore, from New Jersey, from, oh my God, upstate New York, from Connecticut, from every place. And I guess you didn't have anything to do tonight. I could introduce you. I got my sister Fran. Yeah. My niece Tony. My grandniece Melissa. My great-niece Mackenzie. My great-nephew Noah. My granddaughter Autumn. My grandson Eddie. My nephew Joel. I think, where's Jay? Jay Dady. Oh, my brother-in-law Bob. Yes, yeah. His wife Kate, Terry, Bernadette, and the what, Submariner? Is that what you, okay. Yeah, okay, I got it right. Jay Dady, excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot Brad, I'm sorry. You were blocking the way, so. Again, Jay, we're related back in Germany like 300 years ago. He's like my 19th cousin, twice removed. Yeah, whatever. Well, he was only removed twice. He's got 17 more times to go. All right, where am I at here? Okay, we got that done. Yeah. I thought there would be another 100 people here. But 80 of them are dead, and the other 20 I hate, so fuck them. As long as they think I always think I'm funny, you know. I think I pretty well covered it. I thank you all. Have a good time. I just got an idea that the next 50 years is going to be a little tougher. I love you all, especially your family. When you got your health, you got family, you got friends, you got it all.
All right, drink up, party on, let's do it.